All right, we are live, and it is a bittersweet moment. We are at the end of the season, guys. We finally made it. It is the college football national championship game. We're going to talk Notre Dame. We're going to talk Ohio State. Break down as much data as we can for you. Hopefully, talk about a few angles. Give you what we're on officially from a modeling perspective and everything in between. So we got a good show ahead. Let's get right into it.
Give a damn about a hater when I feel like it. Not today, not today, not today, not tomorrow. Get out my way, please. I'm trying to get paid. Not today.
All right, we are just 6 days away now officially from the championship game, guys. It's crazy. It's been a wild, fun ride. I think we'll talk about Mr. Katz. Hey, how's it going, brother? We'll talk about maybe right at the end, do a little recap of how the model and everything went for us. But we're here to talk about the championship game, fellas. So let's break it down. Let's pull up the graphic. It's not wasting any time. Notre Dame and Ohio State. All right, Seth. Let's break down some data first and foremost here. So this one opened at 8.5, mainly across most of the market making books. There's some 8s out there now that I saw earlier as of about an hour ago. So generally in the market, at open and now where we sit, market's not really showing a ton of respect for Notre Dame here. On the flippity flip, we're showing a little bit of value on Notre Dame, and we sent that out. We're on plus 9.5. We said plus 8.5 is okay here, but from your perspective, Seth, and kind of give us a little bit of the model's take on why there's value on Notre Dame at this point.
Yeah, and I think that so Circa opened at 8.5, but both Pinnacle and Chris both opened at 9.5. So that's how we were able to kind of get those 9.5. So ultimately, this matchup is really interesting. I think we're looking at two of the best defenses in college football. When we look at equal rate, a drive level statistic that tells us basically defensive success on those drives, how well they're defending their opponents. Notre Dame getting the rate at which their opponent gets to the 40 or better. Notre Dame is 8th, but Ohio State is 3rd. And then when we look at the points that they give up after those opponents get to those 40-yard drives or better, we're looking at Notre Dame 4th in points per equal, OSU number 2. So to me, this matchup comes down to, yes, both Ohio State and Notre Dame are going to have success. Basically, probably Ohio State throwing the ball, Notre Dame rushing the ball. I think those are going to be the two modus operandi for these two teams, but their defenses are very good at stopping both those things. And for me, what I believe is the model's picking up here is 9.5 is just too many points when we're looking at a potential slugfest. We make this number more like 7 when we take what the market has to offer. If we ignore the market completely, which I don't recommend doing, we make this game like basically 3 in favor of Ohio State, which seems to be much more of how these teams have played. We saw that Texas game for Ohio State, other than that strip sack that was returned, was very much akin to this slugfest. I wouldn't be surprised here if we see something similar in this game, and just 9.5 is too much. 8.5, if you can grab them. I think now the cheap 8.5s might be all gone, but 8.5 suitable as well.
Yeah, and the Canby books, so like Bet Rivers and there's another famous Canby book. Yeah, they're the only ones right now, or pretty much all week, that have been hanging the 9.5. So that's still available.
Yeah, 9.5 Bet Rivers is still available. Minus 110. I don't know. I think we'll talk about it here. I'm seeing a lot of. So the market opened at 9.5, and it has steadily moved towards Notre Dame. So I would disagree that the market isn't supporting Notre Dame. In fact, that's most of the buying we've been seeing is on the Notre Dame side. Now we're sitting here. We still have 6 days to go. But if you're hearing the sentiment, it's that Ohio State's going to win by 40. They're going to blow them out. And is that possible? But this seems. I think we've just become too used to like Georgia winning by 70, and then we're all like, yeah, that's a normal thing. We haven't really seen that in the elite matchups in the last couple of rounds. The blowouts have been lesser and lesser. And if we can pull up the matchup, just want to point out the team talent. We've been harping on team talent all season. I don't think people understand Notre Dame is a top 10 recruiting program. These guys, this roster is basically all 4 and 5 star recruits. Now, Ohio State is technically the #1 roster. Well, technically, actually, right behind Alabama, but OSU is up there at the top, but Notre Dame is a top 10 program. So don't get fooled by that easy strength of schedule that can play a role here. But these guys are, blue chip ratio greater than 50%. This is a major, major program.
Steve, do you have any thoughts on like what some of the key matchups are in this one? Because I like for the game script for Notre Dame to cover the 9.5 for us, like what in your mind has to happen? Because I got a couple of interesting things that I'm staring at. I'm like, I don't know how this is gonna work. It's one of those things where my mental model and the data are just saying, yeah, Ohio State is going to do X, and Notre Dame will not be able to do Y. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, shout out to the comments, Street Impala and Sugar and Mike. I get it, right? Street Impala saying tongue in cheek, so there's no value, right? No bias at all, and we're seeing some things about, obviously what's doing with the college, but this is one of the ones that I'm looking at where this is the same kind of rhetoric we heard against Ohio State versus Michigan, right? There's no way in hell that Michigan can keep up with Ohio State. Ohio State's rolling this and that. And then what happened? Michigan won. Now, again, I'm not saying that Notre Dame's going to pull the upset here, but there is a pathway to victory, and it's very clear. Now, let me start first and foremost. It's going to rely on the defense. As much as we talk about Ohio State's offense and how much they've been rolling, and they have, this is going to be how well can these defenses hold up. Let's start with Notre Dame, right? For Notre Dame, if there's anything that they can hang their hat on, it is their pass defense. Those dudes play cover one, they play man, and they have dudes who can do that, and they're going to need that if they're going to try to bottle up, Jeremiah Smith and Emeka as well. So you look at the coverage grade, first in overall pass coverage, Notre Dame is when they're in man. Interceptions, first. Forced incompletions, first. Passer rating allowed, second in the country, right? So these guys know how to play man. They're going to have to do it if they want to be able to contain that Ohio State defense and not allow those explosives. And then on the flip side here, what I'm concerned about, and I get where the narrative is coming from, is you look at Riley Leonard, like he's not a passing quarterback, right? He's a running quarterback who throws the ball sometimes, and that's been Notre Dame's identity all season long. The concerning part, though, is Ohio State's front four. They don't need to blitz as much. They've got dudes. And we saw Jack Sawyer strip sack fumble return for a TD. Like those guys have dudes up front. And then when you look at Anthony Knapp being out this game, so Notre Dame's starting left tackle, right? They have trouble. You look at the last 3 games, Notre Dame's passing, their run block grade.
Yeah.
Sorry, the pass block rate, excuse me. Notre Dame's pass block rate, 55.5 per PFF. That is abysmal, right? They run the ball very well. They can run block, but they cannot protect in the pass, which is why you see Riley Leonard probably running the ball more instead of being a pure pocket passer. So if Notre Dame cannot make a game script on offense where they're doing screen passes, they're doing gap runs, they're doing zone sweeps, anything to get away from the inside or the interior of that Ohio State defense, it's going to be a long game for Notre Dame. Now, the one thing that they can do, and here's the silver lining for all the negatives I gave for Ohio State. If Ohio State defense has a weakness, it is their cornerbacks, okay? And I hate to say that on the defense that is overall super stellar, but if you look at their grades, Denzel Burke and especially Davison Igbenegson, they are liabilities in the pass grade. So if you're looking at how do you attack this Ohio State team, you go one-on-one coverage, you do screen passes, and you try to put those guys on islands and hope they can make a play. If Notre Dame can keep their offense on the field, grind this clock, drain this clock, and keep Ohio State's offense somewhat bottled up, 9.5 to 8.5, that's too many.
Yeah. I think a couple points. I agree with a lot of what you said, but I do like the fact that the back door is hopefully going to be open for us all game long with this one. And then secondly, to your point about the game script, like this certainly feels for Notre Dame like it's going to have to be one in the neighborhood of, a 21-17, 23-20-esque type pace for them to really have a chance to, number one, even win, but number two, maybe cover the 9.5 as well. But going back to your point about Notre Dame's passing offense and Riley Leonard, so I agree there. I think the key matchup for me is the pass block versus the pressure of Ohio State. So Riley Leonard's, and this is according to PFF, his pass grades, he's 37th, very respectable when he's kept clean in the pocket, and 16th PFF passing grade when he's blitzed. Okay, so in a vacuum, that's not bad. Ohio State's blitz rates, okay, to team up with that, they don't do it a lot. They're 86 in the country, so kind of middle of the pack. They blitz at about a 33% rate, but they're third in the country in overall pressure rate at about 41%. So in other words, they don't have to blitz to generate pressure, right? And then last but not least, Riley Leonard he's not good under pressure when the pocket collapses, when he's when everything breaks down around him. 125th pass grade when pressured and 115th when not blitzed. So what Ohio State can do well, they can get pressure when not blitzing. And that's exactly the thing where Riley Leonard struggles the most. So to your point, Steve, like what does the game script look like for Notre Dame to overcome those, things that presumably Ohio State is going to be able to key in on and, and make Riley Leonard beat them through the air?
Yeah, but I mean, like, this is the thing, though. Like, Notre Dame is, like, Marcus Freeman has said this multiple times throughout this season. Notre Dame, I know they don't have an affiliation. They are a big team football. Like, Marcus Freeman has said time and time again, run the ball, stop the run. That is the Big Ten motto through and through. And so how do you do this? You're going to give Jeremiah Love, you're going to give Riley Leonard, and whoever else can carry that ball, the ball. You're going to force feed them all game, set up your play action pass, set up your screen passes, get away from that defense. I'm not saying it's going to be pretty, and I'm not going to pretend like my butthole isn't a little bit clenched on this bet, just seeing how Ohio State's been playing as a fan. But like there's a very clear and logical game plan to beating Ohio State, definitely covering. It's just a matter of can they execute.
Yeah, covering is I think crucial here. I think the other thing I want to point out, you're saying all these stats. Give me one analytical system that shows me that Ohio State's going to cover the spread. I challenge you. I'll sit here all day. SP Plus makes this 6. College Football Insiders makes this 6. We make this 7. FBS Toys makes this 7. I mean, we can talk about the data all day long. Why do you build models? Why do you build models? Sorry, I'm having issues with my mic. Why do you build models? You build models so you can quantify all this stuff. You quantify it. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. It feels uncomfortable. But we're talking about 9.5 points here. Ohio State beat Indiana by 14 off of 2 explosives. Notre Dame did something similar. OSU beat Penn State by 7. Notre Dame beat them by 3. I mean, when you start to even look for common opponents here in common games, you don't get 9.5.
Yeah.
Can they explode? And can they?
Sure.
I just don't. Why didn't they do that against Texas? It's just so easy. Just move the ball all day on every play, 80% success rates.
Yeah.
Well, then why are you?
Why even play the game?
Strip sack, in order to win that game when they could have tied it, right? So I just have pumped the brakes. I see the chat, I get it, but I'm just seeing that a narrative is just so clearly they're gonna win by 21. I don't know. Maybe I'm naive here. This is not TCU Georgia. This isn't. TCU Georgia has,
I think that's fair.
Delta of 60 in the talent rating. We're talking, number 2 versus number 10 here. Actually, number 11. So they're exactly 10 spots different than each other. So I just 9.5. Give it to me, baby.
Yeah, I just want to say real quick. Listen, Street Impala. I know you went to college there. That's all. Everyone's been talking about Ohio State. Like, we need our own mental well-being. All right, we need a safe space so we can talk our shit about Notre Dame +9 or +8.5. All right, you can go to ESPN if you want people to talk nice about Ohio State.
Yeah, and look, I think they win the game. I do. I just it's hard for me to see, like, the way people are talking. They're talking about the alt season. Like, we're the creators of alt season. They're saying it is alt season. I want to see people's money where their mouth is. I need to see 13.5s in your book. I want to see 20.5s in your book, like 16.5s. Like, if it's just so easy peasy, Notre Dame's going to win by OSU is going to win by $1 trillion. Bet your money. Put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah, that's fair. And to your point, like, you take out that one crazy swing, basically the strip 6, whatever you call it, like that's one play away from it being a tie game, and who the hell knows what could happen, right? I mean, so it wasn't like it was an overall good performance, but that was such a huge swing, such a high variance situation. Like, yeah, you erase that from the script. Like, can you count on that basically for something like that to happen again, for them to cover 9.5, 8.5? No, you
And-
don't, right?
Well, and both of you guys have highlighted a game plan for how you stop or how you can slow Ohio State here. But I mean, you just got to see it last week. This team can't just move the ball at will at 100% of the time. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of data points in this season how you can slow them. Again, slow, I think, is the key here. I don't think you're going to shut them out. I do think Ohio State is probably the right side. From a money line standpoint, I think it's insanely overpriced money line, obviously, but again, when we're talking 2 possessions here, it's
Okay. Well, speaking of insanely
Give us the
overpriced, maybe to switch gears for a second here, but since you're still holding Notre Dame futures, Seth, have you figured out
there's nothing.
what the move is?
Yeah, I got the hot potato, and unfortunately, I'm basically gonna have to go down with the ship / try to have a live bet bail me out and hope that our model's right here, and this game's gonna be a lot closer. The current best number money line is -350 for Ohio State.
Okay.
That basically just puts me in a situation where I can't. It just doesn't even make sense. Basically, what I paid and what I can get out of it's basically the same. And relative to what it is in my bankroll, it's a true 1% of my bankroll to win 10% of my bankroll. I'm gonna have to either let it ride with the caveat that if I can grab like a Notre Dame, gets the ball, scores, or either field goal or touchdown would be preferred. I probably can get them in a much better situation, and I would look to hedge at that point. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to go down with the ship here.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, if you're just joining us, let's bring up the graphic real quick here. So we're officially on Notre Dame plus 9.5. 8.5 is okay. Both are actually still available in the market. The 9.5 is at Bet Rivers or other Canby books that you might have. Yeah. So I mean, to your point, like I didn't pregame hedge out of the Penn State positions that I had going into the semifinal game, but the way that game kind of played out, like I basically took Notre Dame live when they were down 10-0. So got some good value, but then also I don't know if it was halftime when it was exactly, but I took Ohio State -140 to win the Natty. So now like I got a decent position basically, to win a couple of units for them to win. So I don't
Crazy technical CLV, right? Because
exactly
-140
right.
to -350 is crazy.
Exactly right. So I'm hoping to get a little middle kind of double dip action here, with the plus 9.5 and money line. So we'll see.
All right, I'm hoping for you. Yeah, I mean, I'm on the 9.5, and I'm let's just put it this way. I'm a seller, but right now I can't sell. Like I'm a seller at a certain price. So right now I either have to go down with the ship, or but 100% Notre Dame goes up 7-0. I will be looking money line Ohio State, like to hedge out of that.
Yeah.
If I can get a plus 100, minus 110, 120, I'll buy that up.
Yeah. So we'll see what the game script holds. I mean, what did you say? Did you say earlier what if Notre Dame wins, what that would add to your bankroll?
I will win
percentage wise.
I will win $3,300, which is about 10% of my bankroll.
Okay,
good. If it wins. Minus though the 300 I lost for Penn State because I was in a bit of a different situation than you. So where I had Penn State and Notre Dame, and I thought about pulling some off, but yeah. So I'll go down with about $3,000 profit. Well, technically, then another couple units in winnings because our Notre Dame plus 9.5 will win. So
yes,
but again, I'm not on my high and mighty. There's just not a good situation to get out of it right now.
Sure.
So that's why I'm in it still, but I will be looking to sell if I can, and if I can't, I'll go down with the ship.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I just want to point out something real quick. Go ahead.
No, go see.
I was going to point out something real quick on a different note because producer Eric shot this out, and so did Mr. Katz in the comment. But I hate the fact that Notre Dame is independent and they kind of play by their own rules. But Eric was shouting out that they get $20 million for making it to the championship, which it's not a conference-based incentive because they are the conference. And so what does that do for Notre Dame's NIL ability, et cetera, for next year. Like, where does that 20 million go to? It's just the rich getting richer. So Notre Dame may be here to stay.
Good to be an owner.
Yeah.
But this is what like I always argue with people like in our lives and stuff. I don't think people understand how well Notre Dame recruits.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
They think that they're just like some farm bred program there in Indiana. Like, I promise you, go look up blue chip ratio, go to 24/7, go historically look at how well they recruit and how talented those rosters have been over the last 15 seasons. Like, I don't understand this. I think they got blown out by Alabama once, and I think they've just been ruined forever. Like, it's just like, they play the big guys. They can't handle it.
Well, and then the Manti Te'o thing. I will say that the biggest thing to Notre Dame's recruiting is that it's the tough school. Like, if Notre Dame had the academic standards of Alabama, don't at me, or let's say ASU, they'd be unstoppable.
Yeah, the interesting nuance there, that point, I mean, like, again, the old Nick Saban quote, I think we've said it, or I've said it probably at least a dozen times. Like, if you don't pay the right guys, you're shit out of luck. And they've obviously recruited well and have paid plenty of the right guys, quote unquote. As far as what that actually means, from 4 and 5 star recruit to actually talent production, there's obviously some nuance there, and we don't really have that kind of breakdown. But just to throw some quick numbers on it, you mentioned it earlier, Seth. Notre Dame, the number 9th overall best recruiting or most talented team, and versus Ohio State, which is the 3rd. Ohio State does have 14 5-star recruits on their roster compared to only 1 apparently for Notre Dame. Notre Dame does outclass them, so to speak, by 2 4-star recruits. So 57 versus 55 for Ohio State. So both teams, like, to your point, I think the broader point is both teams are stacked. They recruit well. It's just going to be, I wonder what Riley Leonard is, if I could pull that up. I'm just curious.
He's probably like 3 or 4. So he went to Duke first. So, but while you're looking at that, Steve, I know you talked about the offensive lineman that's injured for Notre Dame. I did, by chance, when you were looking that up, were you able to confirm this, that he is injured? He will miss this game, but he was the backup for the tackle that got injured right before the season started. He's slated to come back in this game and take back his starting spot.
Yeah, and there's been discussion around that all week. Yeah, so Anthony Knapp for sure is out with a high ankle sprain. Marcus Freeman confirmed that the other day. But yeah, so the question behind that, because you're absolutely right, he will be coming back. Question behind rest first rest after the injury, and then like, did he lose his job because he wasn't as good, even though coming into the season he was a starter? It's not a terrible spot to be in, for sure. There could be worse things out there. It's just Notre Dame has had that continuity with Knapp.
Eric found it faster than I did. Riley Leonard is considered a 3-star recruit coming out of high school. So, okay,
perfect.
All right. Yeah, it should be a really fun one, though. I mean, we're, like I said, I'm bittersweet that the season's finally here and ended. But we're hoping for one last win for the good guys, from a modeling perspective. Overall, just to kind of recap, we're on 9.5. 8.5 is okay if you want to take it. Still available in the market. And go fight an Irish, I guess, plus 9.5. And then lastly, guys, just want to just kind of tie this all out to a couple of broader points, because this is going to be our last college football show for some time. We'll still have a presence on YouTube between our NFL shows as well as some other broader educational and even college basketball stuff that is in the works now. But again, on the heels, Seth and Steve, of really another profitable season, 3-0 on futures plays. We talked about those last week, and 53% right now from the model. And if this one goes, we'll be 83, 72, and 1, I believe. So about 53.5%, if my math is correct. So just any like with the one game left on the slate, guys, any lasting thoughts or takeaways that you have from this college football season, just strictly from like, what we've learned and what has transpired from the model's perspective and all that.
Yeah, I mean, super excited to have another season of profit. That's always great. We put a ton of work in the off season, so it's good to see pay off. There are a couple things that I want to change in the off season that I'll add. Overall, just happy to be able to deliver profit, right? That's the ultimate thing we're judged on. So it's nice to be able to actually do that on a stage verifiably, and not to without any Lambos behind us. We actually do what we say. So yeah, no, I'm excited, but obviously it's always it's kind of like on to the next, right? It's Bill Belichick, like now I'm focused on the offseason.
Yeah, on to Cincinnati, right?
Yeah, no, that's well said. I have nothing to add to that. That's good.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. So, all right, boys and girls, appreciate you guys being with us. It's been fun. It's been a real season. Appreciate everyone who has tuned into the shows throughout the course of the season. Thank you for liking the video. Thank you for being a subscriber either to the YouTube channel or any of our paid members on here. Very much grateful for your support and partnership as well. Again, our goal is to make money in this thing and to bring some folks along with us, and hopefully teach you guys a thing or two as well. So, all right. I think that'll do it for us, boys and girls. It's been real. Appreciate everything, Seth and Steve. We will see you guys. Well, I'll see you in about a few minutes, but until
NFL.
Yeah, we're gonna go into NFL. So keep the noties on, or stay tuned for the NFL show. We'll be there live in about 4 or 5 minutes. But otherwise, appreciate you guys. Thank you all so much. Until next season, go Irish.